Hi y'all, welcome to the Petite Weaver Crafts. This is a podcast about knitting, spinning, weaving, and pretty much all the crafty things that I get myself into. Thank you for joining me today. I am recording from sunny Los Angeles on May 22nd, 2016. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Ravelry, and Periscope as Petite Weaver. Let's get started. So last weekend I went to Vogue Knitting Live, which was my first knitting conference that I've ever been to. And I must say, walking into this huge conference center and you're surrounded by, other people who are just as excited as you to be there, and they all love yarn and fiber, and they're excited to get to classes, they appreciate knitwear. I was actually wearing my most recent finished object. This is a cardigan, and it's top-down raglan, and it has this wonderful eyelet detailing. This pattern is the Campside cardigan by Alicia Plummer, and the yarn is Boss Sonoma in the Compado Spring Serenity colorway. It's an exclusive colorway that was released during the yarn crawl, and you can find it at Compado Yarn Salons. And yeah, some local knitters that I've met before, they saw me and they're like, "Oh my goodness, is that the sweater that you were making? The finished object looks so great." Of course they asked me about the pattern and the yarn and everything, and it feels a little bit like you're being interviewed on the red carpet, and we're like, "Oh, what's that dress you're wearing? What's the designer?" It's super fun. I had a wonderful time. I actually took 2 classes while I was there. Design It with Shannon and Jason of the Sheba guys, and oh my goodness, if you get an opportunity to take a class with them, you definitely should. These guys are hilarious, and their class was so inspiring, and they were incredibly giving, and they wanted to be available for you in any way, shape, or form that you need them. They were willing to be mentors for you if you needed help and you wanted to break into the knitting design industry, which is crazy. I mean, who actually does that? I think it takes a very motivated person to put themselves out there to be that open, to random strangers, really. But I guess we all have knitting in common, right? The design class was incredibly inspiring. I learned so much. I'm a fairly new knitter. I've only been doing it for about almost 2 years now, and I've knitted 6 or 7 sweaters, and most of them are I picked a loose fitting type sweater, so I've never really had to fit a garment to me, but now I feel so much more comfortable with the idea of adjusting patterns to fit my measurements, because really, who is a standard size, right? So this class was great for me to help me figure out how to manipulate patterns for me and the gauge that I get. So yeah, I would highly recommend classes with them. The other class that I took is Photographing Your Fiber with Franklin Habit. And oh my goodness, this class was so informative. I felt like I've been Instagramming completely wrong for the last few years. He kind of taught us how to, improve our lighting, take better finished object pictures, how to style the items so that, it shows off the texture and the stitch detail of the garments. Super great class. Highly recommended it as well. So now on to stash. I picked up a few items from the vendor market. I didn't get a whole lot of time to shop in the marketplace since I was kind of running in and out trying to get to my classes. So the first item that I picked up was some yarn from Souza Dyeworks. I heard about them through the KnitGirlls podcast, and they rave about her yarn, so I wanted to pick up some for myself. This is her Heart Twist base, which is a 100% superwash merino, and I think it might be a little bit difficult to see, but it is a kind of plum color you know, semi-tonal that shifts to like a dark blue, purple, violet. A gorgeous color. I'm super excited about this. I picked it up to go with another skein that I picked up during the LA yarn crawl, which is by Material Culture Fiber Arts, who is a local dyer to me, and the colorway is Super Bloom. Wouldn't those two go together? Yeah, I'm super excited. I might make a shawl or something out of these. And I also visited another indie dyer local to me, Oink Pigments. This is her Yarn Fairy colorway on her sock base. Super hot pink. I love bright colors. It's kind of terrible. And some 1 ounce fluffs. So these are just 1 ounce bundles of fiber. I think I might do a tapestry weave with these maybe, or spin them up for minis. Not sure yet, but I love the colors. They remind me of summer and ice cream, so. And the last skein that I picked up, oh my goodness, like I saw the skein from across the vendor floor and like beeline towards it. I didn't even know who the dyer was. I was just like, nope, I'm going. I want that skein right there. And it's this super fun, like neon highlighter colored rainbow. Oh my goodness. I have no idea what I'm gonna make with this. It's one skein on their awesome sock base, which is a superwash merino nylon base. Yeah, I couldn't say no. It's so fun. I mean, I'm sure everyone has like those single skeins that you don't quite know what to do with in your stash. Yeah, super pretty. Oh, and one more item. I got a mini skein set. I've already broken into these and started using them, but this is from Invictus Yarns. It's their Beyond colorway. It's a superwash merino, cashmere nylon base 80-20-20, like super basic, but in these gorgeous jewel tones. Look how pretty those are. Yeah, that was all my stash acquisitions. Not too bad, considering I only spent about 2 hours on the vendor floor. Yeah, so that was my Vogue Knitting Live experience. Highly recommend. It definitely will come back next year, and maybe even take some more classes. Works in progress, yay! I am by no means a monogamous knitter. I constantly cast on new projects when I have a zillion whips kind of languishing around, because I can't help myself. Definitely cast on items happening right now. Let's get started. My first project I'm showing you guys is kind of been a trend lately on Instagram. I actually have seen these before, but didn't get into it. But recently on Inside Number 23 with Katie, it's a video podcast. I will link it below. She was working on her Cozy Memories blanket, and it's kind of been trending on Instagram right now if you follow like a bunch of knit people and podcasters and such. And I had to start one of my own. So no joke, I totally copied Katie. I am doing a 51 stitch mitered square with a center double decrease to create, a nice ridge. I don't know if you can see that super well, but yeah. Each of my squares are about 4 inches wide, and my blanket so far, here we go. Yeah, super fun. Kind of the pattern that I was going for is a solid colored square next to a highly variegated or speckled square. And my blanket is 12 squares wide, and I'm aiming for 16 rows long, which will make a 48-inch by 64-inch blanket, which is a pretty good size, like couch throw. And I am working on size 2, US size 2 Addy turbos. Yeah, 16-inch circulars. I tend to lose like the second needle if I use DPN, so I try to always pick circular needles to work with. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this project. I'm mostly using kind of like the remnant Knit Picks palette yarn balls that I have laying around, and you can see some of them right here. And alternating with mini skeins and speckled yarns from Indie Dyers. So example, this one is my Yarn Ink Mini in the Luxor colorway. And then let's see what else. Here is a Knitted Wit Mini. I can't remember the color of this one. But yeah, super fun. I'm really enjoying it. I started it at the end of April, so it's been about a month now. And I think I'm on track to finish this blanket by the end of Stash Dash. So if you haven't heard, Stash Dash is a knit along, craft along that's hosted by the KnitGirlls video podcast, and the basic idea is to make, use your stash during kind of the summer months and get as much yardage as possible. Like there's a 3K, a 5K, a 10K, and a 15K, I believe. Yeah, and the idea is just kind of, focus on your projects during the summertime. And if I can get this blanket finished by the end of Stash Dash, which ends on August 21st, it would be almost 5,000 yards. So let's see if I can get it done. Next up is a test knit for a designer that I have been obsessed with, fangirling over for a very long time, and I just happened to check Instagram at the perfect time to see her post for a call out for new test knitters for her. And seriously, when I got the email back saying that I was one of the ones who were in the test knit, I was freaking out, like a complete spaz. I had to text one of my knitting friends and panic a little bit. I was like, oh my goodness, I got chosen. Like, I am super nerdy about it, but she is such a wonderful designer that I've been fanning over for such a long time. It's kind of weird to be like on a normal talking basis with her. So the designer is Joji Locatelli. I am test knitting a textured pullover for her, and the pattern should be released sometime in September, I believe she said. And look at this super cute sweater. I am using UU yarns, like the sheep yarns, in woolly worsted base, and the colorways are lemon chiffon and vanilla. Like, doesn't that sound so delicious together? I was super excited when I picked up this yarn. The body's completely done. All I need to do now is to finish both of the sleeves, and they're going to be long sleeves. It's a worsted knit, so super quick. The pattern's pretty easy to memorize, and yeah, I'm really enjoying this knit. A bunch of people have commented on how bright this sweater is, but I'm a little bit obsessed with bright colors, if you couldn't tell so far. And look how fun! I try to wear some brighter colors during the winter time, to kind of brighten up the day. So yeah, I'm so in love with this sweater so far, and super excited and thankful to be, included in Joji Locatelli's test knit. This project is living in my big old drawstring bag that I've made. Look how big this is. So I been making these big project bags because I tend to knit fairly large projects that don't quite fit in regular size bags at all. So I kind of drafted up some patterns to make the big bags. My Cozy Memories blanket is also living in one of my big drawstring bags. Yeah, look how fun. These things are massive. when I was drafting the pattern, I didn't quite think they were gonna be so large, but they end up being about, I want to say like 24 inches wide, but like 12 inches tall or so. Yeah, I might put up a tutorial or like a pattern of how I made these if you guys are interested. Yeah, they're super fun. It keeps everything together. I don't have to worry about losing balls of yarn or whatever. Yeah, so, oh, one more project in progress. I casted it on yesterday. So, as I mentioned, I took the Design It class at Vogue Knitting Live, and part of the class is you get your measurements taken, which I've never had done. So I loaded it into CustomFit, a website by Amy Herzog, and basically the website takes a knitted pattern and then it kind of runs through some sort of algorithm with your measurements and then outputs a custom pattern for you with the yarn that you use and the gauge that you get. So theoretically it should be a perfect fit. So the sweater that I casted on is the Cushman sweater, and it has a show your cube stitch pattern, and it's just a basic knit and purl textured pattern, and this is just like the back of the sweater. I haven't made a ton of progress, but this yarn is Blue Sky Alpaca Royal in the Primrose colorway, and I picked this colorway because it's more of a neutral tone. Obviously I love a lot of bright colors, but it's a little bit harder to wear those on a daily basis. So I kind of picked a slightly more neutral toned yarn so I can make a more wearable knitted object for my wardrobe. Yeah, and it's such a pretty dusty kind of like purpley rose color. I'm excited. It's been a pretty easy knit and easy to remember, so I'm really loving this yarn too. It's super, super soft. And I think that's all my whips for today. Up next is spinning. So I've been on a little bit of a hiatus from spinning. I just finished up a massive project, okay? I ended up with 2,550 yards of a fingering weight yarn. This is a BFL silk blend. I believe it's 80% BFL, 20% Tussa silk. You can see that lovely rose gray color. Yeah, it's fingering weight. I think my current plan, it might change. My current plan is to weave with this. I haven't woven in a while as well, and I wanted to get kind of back into it. So my first project back after about a year hiatus is to weave yardage for a dress. Yes, you heard me correctly. I am a crazy person and am going to weave hand spun into fabric to make into a handmade dress. Sometimes I get these crazy ideas with, like, maybe not crazy. I set very high goals for myself, and they're very grandiose and take a lot of time. But, you know, I love making things, and I love tying in all the crafty things that I do to make a finished object. So I'm super excited. I'm probably going to do a huck lace, maybe just like floats. Not quite sure of the weaving pattern yet, but yeah, I'm super excited. And I think I'm going to over dye this yarn. This color isn't the best on me. It kind of washes me out. So I think I'm going to indigo dye this yarn after I'm done weaving the fabric. So yeah. Stay tuned. I might make some videos of me weaving as well. Okay. Up next for spinning, during the Los Angeles yarn crawl, I ended up doing some demonstrations at my local yarn shop, Wild Fiber Studios in Santa Monica, and I was working on a highly variegated braid from Knitted Wit, the indie dyer, and you can see how beautiful the yarn ended up being. This ended up being about 126 yards of worsted weight yarn, and I ended up doing a chain ply or Navajo ply of this because the braid was so variegated. I didn't want to mute the colors and dilute the look of the yarn and have like tons of barber polling, so I did the chain ply. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I'm actually pretty surprised with how consistent my yarn actually ended up, because I was talking to people, you know, I was super distracted by everyone walking by, and yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna make with it yet. Maybe a hat. 126 yards isn't a ton of yardage, so we'll see. For now, it's just gonna live in my hand spun cubby until I figure out what the heck to do with it. So yeah, also I had a little bit of leftover yardage when I was kind of playing with the, you know, the dimensions of like how thick I wanted to spin the singles. So I actually ended up being able to make a nice little mini skein of hand spun that will go into my Cozy Memories blanket. Yeah, I really like the colors. Up next, I also spun some samples of local fiber that I can get here in Los Angeles. And this is a nice alpaca fleece, and it's kind of a fawn kind of cream color. Yeah, it's super pretty. And then last but not least, I spun up a sample of some Romney lamb that I got from a local farmer. His name is George. He's so super sweet. We got to visit him and his sheep, and I got to pet some baby lambs, and I really enjoy creating a bond between the, you know, the fiber that I'm working with and the people who raise them. Yeah, it was just a wonderful visit. And here is a sample of a washed lock. You see the crimp? These are super long locks. I think it's almost 6 inches. So I ended up just flicking out the ends and then spinning from the lock, and I ended up with a 2-ply fingering weight yarn. I don't know if you can really see, but the locks actually have this wonderful sheen to them, and I'm thinking maybe I will make a featherweight cardigan out of this hand spun. This is obviously isn't enough, this is just my sample, but yes, I'm working really hard in getting some more basics in my, you know, knitted wardrobe to wear more often, because right now I really only have very brightly colored things made up. And yeah, that was all of my spinning as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is my first time recording a podcast, so I'm sure I'm really awkward. But yeah, thanks. Check me out on Instagram, Ravelry. Show notes can be found on petiteweavercrafts.blogspot.com, and I should have those posted later today. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a good day, you guys. Bye.